with David Ian and Kate Dale.
The show that plumbs the depths of mediocrity, celebrates the ordinary, and enjoys the everyday.
Hello and welcome to Mediocre Gay. I'm Kate Dale.
And I'm David Ian.
How's your week been, David?
Fine. Like, really, really uneventful.
Well, that's going to be...
It's
Well,
exciting,
thank you
isn't
for
it?
watching Mediocre Gay. It's
Look, sometimes my weeks are mediocre.
I mean, so hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, mine's not been particularly eventful this week, but I did do, and I know this is, and I really enjoyed it, a load of washing up.
Oh, for Christ's sake.
My dishwasher's broken at the moment, which has been what it is. But I've realised actually there's something about when you've had a load of. I have been busy, so dishes had backed up, but there's something peaceful about going through and sorting it all out and restoring order to chaos.
I hate washing up. I'd rather throw it all out and buy new.
Well, that's not very good for the planet, is it?
I didn't say it was. Like, I'd love a dishwasher. My flat is tiny. I don't have a dishwasher. Although I keep wanting to get... You can get, like, tabletop dishwashers that aren't plumbed in. Yeah, I think they're for caravans and stuff like that. Yeah, oh, God, I hate washing up. Literally, I'd rather just... Paper plates, I think, is the answer.
It's one of those things that I put off and put off, but when you do it, actually, there's kind of a piece that comes from it. It's like...
Actual...
Yeah.
No.
Putting away, I hate. Drying, I'm not so keen on, and putting away is just awful.
But that's all part of it, isn't it?
I know, that's the point.
I have the problem with actual washing. I don't mind throwing it in the washing machine and remembering to put in a tablet and that, but then it sits there for days. I can't be bothered to get it out and hang
But
it
then
up.
it's mouldy.
Well, I'd rather just buy new clothes.
Well, sorry, Planet Earth. We did enjoy knowing you, but David
Oh, no, but
decided...
I don't, because, you know, comedy doesn't pay a lot, but that's what I'd like.
Right, well... If anyone is still watching, you'll be very glad to know, or listening
Thrilling,
indeed, that we do indeed have a guest today. It's hopefully going to be far more interesting than me talking about washing up. It's almost literally like watching paint. No, it's not. All right, so welcome. We've got a fantastic drag king today who performs as Tim Tation.
Hey up, hi, how's thee?
And is here today in her morning guise as Julia.
Welcome.
Welcome,
Hello,
Julia.
hello, hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Well, it was quite early. I like getting up early.
Do you?
No, I'm not the morning
What
person
drag performer
at
likes
all.
getting up early?
Exactly, we're all night owls, and I absolutely just spend my hours whittling away, thinking of new drag things all night long, and then the morning comes and you have to go to work and have a day job because drag doesn't afford much.
Oh, yeah, none of us have date. No. No, don't spoil the illusion.
Sorry,
Just
sorry,
live in this
sorry.
wonderful world.
What do you do as a day job?
I actually make film for social media, for a big corporate. So I'm busy booking lots of influencers in inverted commas and edit and
And do they
just
know
lots
about
of
Tim?
stuff. Oh, they know about Tim.
Okay.
They do know about Tim. They're quite thrilled about Tim, and they kind of want me to do a Christmas party or a staff party.
Yes.
But they're only doing that if they're going to pay me. So
Obviously.
Absolutely,
Obviously.
completely. And so for people who haven't met Tim yet, I don't know, am I allowed to call him Tim? Is he not
Tim.
father or the reverend?
No, Tim
Tim's
Tation. So Tim is a cult leader. He's from the north, and he fell down a little hole one day and joined a cult. So he's completely used and abused by the great they them, Lord Deepthought. And Lord Deepthought has some very interesting theories about the world, including, you know, of course, we're all going to die. There's going to be a mass extinction
I mean,
event.
that's the thing about cults.
Absolutely.
All the same.
I mean,
We're
also
all gonna
life,
die.
we are all going to die.
But if
Yeah, but I
you
think cults are quite obsessed with the dying, right?
And all at the same
Absolutely.
time.
It's a long traditional history of everybody dying. With Lord Deepthought does believe that the spaceships that will come and pick you up, and it's okay no matter where you are in the world. If you're part of the cult, the spaceship will come and pick you up and take you away at the end of the world.
Way better than Uber these days, isn't it?
It is. And yeah, it's... Well, you do have to wait like 20 odd minutes nowadays for
Oh,
Uber.
I just
And
give
then
up on it.
sometimes they won't even bloody come
Oh,
and
they
get
just
you.
cancel. On the way, no, I'm not. On the way, no, I'm not.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So
I
frustrating.
mean, I just get the bus, so...
That's because you spent all your money on new planes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How does one join the cult?
Well, really, most of my followers do like to come and see a show or two, and I think really once you're following me on Timstagram, and then which is obviously just Instagram, but my Instagram,
Obviously.
Tim Tation Drag. That's the handle, so come follow. And then come and see one of my shows. And then before you know it, you'll be a follower, you'll be a believer.
And what can you tell us about the shows? What happens in a show? Can you give obviously we've seen, but
So I've only, to be honest, been doing this since March. So very, very
Really?
Yes. Since
Wow.
March.
Oh my God, I assumed you'd been doing it ages. You were great.
I assumed you'd been doing it ages.
I have. Shh.
Little to know. But yeah, come see a show. It's going to be dependent on where I am and what I'm doing as to how much you get. Tim likes to run a little confession box where the audience can forcefully insert or artfully slide their lustful confessions into, and then we'll go through them as part of the act, which is very, very lovely. But then Tim also is really quite obsessed with food. So he'll create a number of little mini sermons that are really focused on food. I've got one covering gluttony and roast dinners and proving the existence of the great they them through bananas. And most recently, lust and cake. It's a beautiful sermon.
Oh, are you hungry now?
Yeah. Anything that involves cake, last.
That's hard work, isn't it? But
Can't remember
Cake
what
is
that's
quite
like.
delicious. You will leave very hungry. It also kind of links into chemsex as well, does my cake sermon. So it's
Obviously. Obviously. What doesn't?
What doesn't, exactly.
To be fair.
Exactly.
Well, okay. What does the word mediocre mean to you?
So for me, I think mediocre it's something that's perfectly okay. That it's not really like singing any songs. It's not going above and beyond. It's very functional. It's very everyday. In interior design terms, I like to think mediocre is perhaps grey, that grey colour that everyone painted their houses. That you
I had a high
internet.
gloss grey kitchen.
High gloss. Ooh,
That's
the choice.
grey showing off.
Yeah.
I loved it. I didn't think it was mediocre at all.
Oh, but the greyification, greige.
Greige.
It's
Greige.
just, it's everywhere.
Everybody told me it was super masculine, actually.
Really? No, it was so a
Okay,
certain type of woman.
So much to unpack. How can a colour have a gender?
I don't know, but this is what people told me. And I was pleased about it, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, David.
I know.
We don't have time, do we, to unpack all of that?
It was like a high gloss grey and then like a shiny blue splashback.
I like the shiny blue.
And a white high gloss top.
I mean, it sounds lovely. I'm just slightly confused as to how that could be
I
described
don't know,
as
speak to the
femme or
wider
anything.
world. Because as you know, everything is gendered.
Did you actually choose this kitchen?
Yeah, I
Was that
designed
your
it.
choice?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
See,
I don't know what I was trying to prove.
Did it make you feel more masculine cooking in there? Oh no, you don't cook, do you? So
No.
heating up your delivered food.
And leaving your
I
plates
was
to
I was
rot.
actually dating someone at the time and he was a very good cook. So he mainly used it.
And that's what made you feel masky, is actually having someone cooking for you in the kitchen.
Yeah, having a wife.
Yeah.
That was it.
Oh, Lord.
But grey totally replaced Magnolia for
Yeah.
a big period of time. You didn't know what to do with the room. You didn't know how to paint it, what to make it look like. Magnolia. And then I think, grey replaced Magnolia.
I've had 2 grey cars as well.
Ooh.
Oh. You see, I think it's a fear of commitment. If you go with the colour, then you're standing out, it's commitment. You
Yeah.
kind of have to live with it. And it's,
Mm.
you know how they used to say, you probably don't, but and I don't even work in IT, but in IT, no one was ever sacked for buying IBM computers, apparently. It's a bit like that. No one
It's
ever
run of the
criticises
mill.
you
Yeah.
for just painting your house or flat beige, basically. So whether it's magnolia, whether it's grey, whatever. But it's not really expressing anything about yourself, is it? It's hiding yourself.
You really wanted to buy a yellow car, didn't you?
I've had I've had a lime green car before.
You see, that's good.
Exactly. That's personality, that is. That's not mediocre. That's personality. But grey.
Yeah, but I was much
ooh.
younger then, and I was, trying to hide less of who I was.
Why? Why do you want to hide more of
I
who
don't
you
now.
are now you're growing
I don't
older?
now. Not now,
I
but
mean,
like
there
in
is-
that
Okay.
period
Oh,
of
I
like,
see. There was a period of
Yeah.
Literally
is what you're
written a
saying.
one-person show about all of
yeah,
this. So
that's what
yes.
Mediocre Gay is about.
I should come and see that, shouldn't I?
Should do,
I
really.
should.
Yeah, no, like that 12-year period, I suppose. Like I like cars, which is my thing. I like oscillated between white and grey cars.
Of course, your thing.
Yeah,
Are you Jeremy Clarkson in disguise?
yeah. Just a bit fatter.
Wow.
Well, Mercedes cars are kind of grey, aren't they? So Mercedes obviously are not as in the Formula One team, not all cars.
I was like,
are
oh,
by
I didn't have a
Mercedes.
Mercedes. I was
Where
like, have
going
I
with
said I
that?
had a
Jeez.
Mercedes? I was an Audi girl. So,
Ooh.
mm.
Oh, Team Mercedes.
I walk.
Okay, good. I get what you mean though. Like, and I've never really thought about it. It is like a lack of commitment. It is just like that middle of the road. It is a lack of personality.
It's
And
what
I'm-
to do when you don't know what to do.
And because I'm doing some refurbing at the moment, and I don't know what colour to go with, and it's really hard because I want something.
Well, I'm
strong and
expecting like
vibrant.
yellow or like a green apple or something now because, you know, personality.
Teal became the new.
Teal
Teal.
did for a little while. I
Yeah.
think greens and like earthy tones
Yeah.
are now in, but will they last? Will they become the new grey? Who knows? Who knows?
It took
Also,
me 8
I
years
need
to
you to
choose a
keep-
lampshade.
And you need
so-
to keep your house value high so that when you...
When you
Do
sell the
you,
flat,
or do you just
I was
want
thinking
to
when
create?
she dies, oh,
you'll
I
get the
don't
money.
recall changing my will.
not yet. It's a long term.
Long-term goals.
With my lifestyle, David, I don't think you've got that much time, so I'd crack on with your plans if I were you.
So, what do you love that is other people think is mediocre?
Well, I recently moved to East London. I say recently, like in the last 18 months.
Okay.
And I have to say, the bloody DLR is so amazing. It really is. Like, it's such a tiny little train. And when it was designed, it was apparently only meant to get 20 people around.
Yeah, like
Who
really small people.
creates
Yeah.
a mass transit system that is only designed to transport 20 people? Why do that?
Why? So,
Oh God.
I know, right? Every time someone comes on and talks about infrastructure, she's horrified about the fact that I just naturally know something about it. The DLR was a financial decision because it's so much more expensive to build something like the Lizzie line. And at the time,
It's
that
with
part,
the tubes, wasn't it?
yeah, and that part of like East London, they didn't actually have that many people living in it, and there was a lot of money going into it, and so they just did a much smaller thing because it's been extended a lot and expanded, so now it carries a lot
4
more.
times. Yeah.
I mean, I have really fond memories of the DLR. I don't think it's mediocre at all. I remember when I was a kid, we lived in Kent, and we had these amazing babysitters, Mandy and Kevin. They took me and my brother when we must have been, I don't know, looking at the photos, I would say maybe I must have been like 9 or maybe 10 or 11, and my brother would have been like 7. And we went to London. And we did like all like the tourist bits, but the most exciting thing I remember was going on the DLR, and there is no driver.
I know.
As a child, seeing a train that can go both ways,
Oh yes. Oh,
which
yes.
I understand is
Both
popular
ways.
now. No driver, like exciting. Yeah,
I think it
love
always was, David. It's just that due to Bioasia, we weren't allowed to talk about it.
But I do remember actually first trip to London, young 15-year-old. My eyes were being open. Obviously, I'm not from London. I don't know if you can tell, but
Hide it well.
rode that DLR.
It's exciting,
Pretended to be
right?
the driver.
Yes.
Sat at the front.
Sitting at the
Oh,
front.
it's like a really slow roller coaster if you sit at the
Yeah.
front.
Mm.
Like there are some
Oh,
bits
yes.
of it that's like you're going
This is
on
my
the
favourite kind of
overpass.
roller
Yeah.
coaster. I'm not a big fan of a fast roller coaster. Don't like to live on the edge, me.
Oh, and the views
the
are
views
so
are fantastic.
spectacular. Like, I really love the Tate and Lyle
Mhm.
old factory area around by the Royal Docks.
Mhm.
Like, it's just so like a mix of everything that's ruinous and falling down and like past industry. And then you're getting like the new posh
Yeah, all
flat
popping up.
blocks all popping up around it.
I also really like the noise that it makes.
I was going to say the noise.
It's like that, like
whoosh.
very slight, very
Yeah.
slight electric noise. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great.
And if you go Canning Town, you've got like one layer of DLR down here.
Oh yeah.
And then you've got the tubes on the other side, and then
Yeah.
above the tubes is the bank branch of the DLR. And then also the one that goes to like Woolwich Arsenal also goes to Beckton, and it comes in and it pushes that. Oh, it's magical. It's
The-
magical.
Only I would agree with all of that. It's got one downside, and that is when it's going into Bank, because Bank Tube Station
yeah.
is
Oh,
the
it's-
absolute hell
horrific.
on earth, abysmal.
But you see, again, I know reasons for this. So Tower Gateway was supposed to be like the main terminus when it came into
hence the name.
London. Yeah, exactly. But then they ended up developing Bank and making that, and so that's why like Bank is obviously massively like overworked anyway. And then you have that horrible run up that just takes forever. But yeah, it was going to be Tower Gateway was where it all ended. Literally, there's not many more things more interesting to fall down a Wikipedia hole on than DLR. DLR's really interesting.
For someone who loves cars, you know a lot about public transport.
I just love infrastructure and love it.
What I also really love about the DLR is like the stations are generally in a bit shit areas. And my local one is like very much on the cusp of an industrial estate and then like a small residential area. But it's so brightly lit up at night. It brings me so much joy to come in there, and it's like a little beacon in the area of just
I like
all
the
of
way
it.
because they're up on
stilts.
So yeah, absolutely, you get that sort of
Yeah.
glowing. It's like that song from Rocky about walking toward. Yeah, there's a light over in the Frankenstein
Yes.
place. It's not like that, but that's what goes through my head.
They're like a monorail, you know, like
Yeah.
Disneyland.
Monorail.
They
or
are a
something,
monorail, aren't they?
Monorail.
I don't know if we'd have to pay the rights. Don't seem
Are
to.
they
Okay.
actually a monorail? Aren't they a monorail?
I can't. I don't think. I'm not sure.
No, they've
I-
definitely got two rails.
Yeah. There
From
you go.
when we were driving them, I can tell you there's definitely two rails.
You might know then, actually, David. What is the difference between a tram and a train? Because I've been in Manchester. I've been on trams that go through fields. And at what point does this?
No, I don't know.
Feels like I'm on a train.
I haven't looked up Manchester transport stuff because what happens is you go on the DLR and then when you're a loser and you can't sleep at 2:00 in the morning, you think, do you know what? I wonder why it's not like all the rest. How did that come about? And then you spend 4 hours reading about the DLR. And if I still lived in East London like I used to, I'd probably be able to remember how many people like it could carry per hour and that, because there was a small phase of my life, because there's like a league table of like how many, all the different like versions of DLR and tubes and that all around the world of how many they can carry, and it keeps moving up and down. It was super interesting, but now I don't live in the East, so I don't use it as
care.
much. Yeah,
Okay.
neither do the watchers and
What
listeners
I also
probably.
find quite fascinating is like Woolwich Arsenal. Obviously,
Which is fascinating anyway.
absolutely. You know, it's obviously got some rich, you know, historic in like gosh, what's the word? Industry. Industry. Back in the day, it must have done some things. And then they put the DLR ending there because, you know, it is a bit like
Now they've just got an enormous Tesco's.
massive Tesco's. And then for some reason, love it. Why don't we put the Lizzie line in there too? I feel like, you know, the DLR must have paved way for the
Doesn't it go?
Elizabeth line to come.
Yeah, that's true actually. Yeah.
It does continue all the way to like Thamesmead, which is a beautiful, beautiful estate. If you're going to go look at an estate, go look at Thamesmead. Beautiful. You're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. It's like brutalist art in a council estate.
Are we talking about the same Thamesmead?
Yeah, it's like if you walk like 10 minutes beyond the Lizzie Line tube station, then you're in this magical, magical place of like 60s brutalist beautifulness. No?
I like a bit of brutalism. I shall
Yeah.
go and have a look at that.
Very nice. It's very, very nice. They have a lake. They have a massive lake with a fountain in the middle. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Good. Well,
You can edit that bit out if you want. But it's the top tip. It's the top tip.
I will. Next time I don't know what to do in London, I'll just ride the Elizabeth line to the end. I hate calling it the Lizzie line, and I realised I did it earlier, but it feels disrespectful, especially now she's gone.
What she would have wanted. It doesn't strike me as a Lizzie.
I don't think she cares.
We could call it the Lizzie-Butt line.
The Lilybut line. Yeah, they should have
Oh,
done that, really, shouldn't
yeah.
they?
Anyway,
Mr. Trick.
oh wait, we don't call it the Vicky line, do we? Although I did the other day and then hated myself. Anyway,
Going back to the DLR.
Good. Do.
There's one other beautiful thing about the DLR, and that's like Greenwich. Because it goes to the good bit of Greenwich, whereas the Jubilee line goes to the
Yeah.
shit bit of Greenwich.
it amazes. When I first moved to London, I was very confused about the fact that these were not the same bits of Greenwich, right?
They're so far apart.
Yeah.
They're
How
so
can they
far
both be
apart.
Greenwich?
Oh, I don't think I've been to the DLR bit of Greenwich.
It's like actual Greenwich, like original Greenwich, like where the
Oh, is that where the
what's
college is?
Cutty Sark is. the
Where,
Cutty
thank
Sark.
you.
Oh,
I was,
okay, no, I
I was
have
about to be like, where that boat is. Where the Cutty Sark is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have been. I'm lying.
It takes forever to get there though, because that's the only thing about the DLR is so many stops.
Chugga, 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 chugga.
You're just like,
Yeah. Slow and steady.
It takes forever to get there.
It takes you to City Airport, though, and I love City Airport.
I love City Airport too.
We've talked about airports a lot on this podcast, haven't we? But it's
so beautiful.
The shopping is rubbish. The airside shopping is rubbish.
I don't think there's anything more exciting than flying out of City Airport.
Yeah, but it does. It feels like flying. It feels like I imagine flying felt in the 50s, but safer probably. But there's not a massive walk. Hopefully, yeah.
What I do love about City, it's very, very close to home, and I can get there in 20 minutes on the DLR, as previously discussed, the beautiful DLR. But you get a sandwich still on the plane. It's amazing.
Yes,
it's so good. I might be paying like an extra £120 for the privilege.
But if you get a sandwich,
if I get a sandwich, I'm also saving money going.
I mean,
to the
that's
airport.
almost the price of a Pret sandwich. So
twice, it's half the price of a Heathrow Express ticket.
Yeah, exactly.
Who flies out of City now? I haven't flown out of it for a couple of years. No,
I mean, it's beautiful.
I mean, what airlines?
BA.
Is it a BA?
Yeah, and you get some of the continental airlines landing there as well. So Swiss.
Yeah, I've not flown out of there for a few years, like since before the pandemic.
Oh, I swear I tend to go away with, on my girls' weekends away, we tend to fly from there. It's lovely. It's just easy.
So easy. So easy.
Oh, I'm flying from Heathrow in a couple of weeks, and I'm like, oh, I know, awful.
Oh, your life's terrible, David.
So jet setting.
David.
Anyway.
So, moving on from that, I think I'm very obsessed, could be very obsessed with the DLR too. I do love it. And that thing of driving the bus as well. It's the same thing as when you get to the top seat of the bus at the front. You drive the bus.
That's also one of my favourite positions.
That's always love that position.
You can tell we've got a bunch of gays in the room, can't you? Just the mere mention.
So it really seems a shame to move on from that, but I'll get to anyway. What do you worry or feel is mediocre about you?
Well, one of the things, I've been well aware of this for a number of years, but having just come into doing drag, it has really been highlighted to me, and that is my lack of musical skill. I am incredibly mediocre when it comes to music. And what I realise is when I listen to music, I hear the words. I don't actually hear the music itself. So when it gets to the point, because there is a massive expectation as a drag act, you're going to come on, you're going to do a bit of chatting, you're going to do a singing, a bit more chatting, do another song, another chat, maybe say something funny, one last song and you're off. Like, that is how classical, in the dirty pub, drag exists. Exactly, a drag sandwich. So I've come in as more of a character comedian and have been like pushed and forced into doing the songs, doing the music, and trying to fit like extra-ness into my act. And this is where I have just discovered that I am so bloody awful at A, singing in tune, and then B, singing the tune to the time of the music, because music doesn't really help you. Like, most of the time, it doesn't give you the cues. It's not like sing now and I'm going to play this drum beat at this particular moment when you're going to sing.
We have a horrific. So we did a gig somewhere west, and then we all stumbled off to some club, and it was a really great club. It had loads of different rooms, and in one of the rooms was a lovely little old lady playing the piano for karaoke.
Oh, love it.
And when you were watching everybody else do it, you're like, this is amazing. And so we decided to get up and sing Islands in the Stream.
Easy song, know it back
to front, right? Well, she's just playing the piano, so you've got no idea at all when to come in, and somehow you end up completely out of time.
And it's not like electric karaoke, whatever you call it, where it highlights the words. It was like just the words in front of you.
Oh, it was horrific.
No,
it was embarrassing.
It was just, but we ploughed on and ploughed on and ploughed on. But
it was the longest 3.5 minutes of everyone's life. It was really bad.
And you realise how little you actually know the tune as well.
Yeah.
Because it's doing its own whatever in the background, isn't it? And you're supposed to be doing the tune over the top.
It's like two separate forms of artistry in one go to create something that sounds vaguely all right.
She was an amazing woman. Like, she was great, and she just knew like almost any song you could pick. Well, although, did she? That's what I'm wondering. I wonder if it was her fault, actually. Maybe she wasn't playing quite the right tune.
Yeah, oh, probably.
Maybe.
Or the notes bit, not necessarily in the right order.
The thing I keep coming back to is the gap between the end of the chorus and the starting of the next thing, I think I know that pretty well. I mean, I'm a huge Dolly fan. I know that song like the back of my hand. And we could not get it anyway. Getting distracted. Say you can't sing.
No, I can't. But also, I am a very visual person. So, like, I've had to develop ways to deal with this mediocrity that I have going on in my life. And because I video edit, I basically put the karaoke version with the actual words in, because you can buy that. And then the track above it with no words. So then I've got these two tracks lined up next to each other. I have to mute one of them and then chop out the bit where the words are, so I can like picture it in my head. Like literally, I can see the timeline of the song with all the chunks where the words are. And this is just the most roundabout way that I have found to do this, but it's the only way my brain wants to work.
See, that's interesting, because I am kind of thinking that sounds really complicated and difficult. And would it not be easier just to learn it?
Perhaps, but then
I'm so
still,
sorry
that
for my
music
friend.
is all over the bloody show.
What I think is amazing is like you've picked that as mediocre, and I think it's something that lots of people are mediocre at, but you're like finding a way around it. Like you've worked out a way to still incorporate it into your act, even though it's a huge amount of work, rather than taking the easy option. You found a way to like make it work and still deliver. I think that's incredible.
Yeah, when I have an idea in my head, I just want to do the thing, and I want to excel at it. The oldest child, so obviously
I get it.
As the oldest child, you want to impress people, and I do really have that. There are a lot of like big host queens out there that I know and love, and I just want to impress them every time I'm on in one of their shows. I want to dazzle them with a new song. I want to make them
Doesn't
happy.
that sound familiar?
It's exhausting to be around you people. I'm the youngest of three, so for me it's just like wah, attention, whatever it takes.
So when you're on the bill with a comedian that you really love, don't you feel... How often do we talk about the fact... Now I'm wondering if this is just something that I say to you or a conversation we have. When you're on the bill with someone who you really love as a comedian, you desperately want them to see you be really good, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that.
But often if they're headlining, then they're not there for you.
Yes, well, that happened too. Yeah, no, I probably shouldn't say. Yeah.
Don't say.
But
I was going to no names, yeah.
There is always that glimmer that they might catch you for like 30 seconds and be paying attention.
But also, what does it matter? Like, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
But we're performers, right? So it's all about external validation, isn't it?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. I mean, we should all be happy with the performance that we're doing and the challenge and how good we've come along. You know, and like just happy for ourselves. But
just
like 30
little
seconds
birds
of
in a nest saying,
validation.
feed me, feed me, feed me, feed me. I need love.
What do you do drag for? Why?
Well, my mum joined a cult, so.
Oh God, and we were laughing earlier.
We were all laughing earlier. And for me, doing drag is a way I could take control of the situation. So I've spent many years of my life.
Is she still in the cult?
She is still in the cult. She's currently in Mexico waiting for the end of the world with the cult leader.
Oh, wow, truly.
So, yeah.
And how old were you when she joined?
It was maybe like 5 years ago. So, 32? Yeah, I know. It was an interesting challenge of a good chunk of my life, trying to battle with her to make her realize that the cult were actually preying on a vulnerable person. And she had like a series of mental health issues and was being checked in and out of like psychiatric units just before the pandemic started. But to get her to the point where she could be in a unit was really, really, really bloody difficult. And I was trying and knocking on people's doors, and unless somebody is going to harm themselves or harm somebody else, you can't actually get any help for that person. They need to be saying, actually, I need some help. And she was never going to do that, because she firmly believes that the world's going to end, and at that point there was going to be hellfire and damnation or a big flood. So she was Googling, looking for hills where she could buy a boat and have a boat on the top of a hill.
Oh, wow.
So when the flood came, she could be safe. But then it was all right, because the spaceships were going to come and pick you up either way. And don't worry about your pets, because the spaceships would also come and pick your pets up separately.
Oh, that's good.
I know, it was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah. So how did she find the cult?
Through the internet. So I think Stargate was her gateway drug, the TV show. and she'd been watching episodes of that on YouTube, and then followed in the related videos, and then got into conspiracy theories. And then before she knew it, she got into the International Congregation of Lord Rael via Facebook, and found this little community of people who believed that the end of the world was coming.
And moved to Mexico.
Moved to Mexico.
And are you in touch with her, or is she allowed to be in touch? No.
She doesn't like. It's difficult because now I, was the child for a while. We were never particularly very close growing up. And now I'm the person who wants to stop the fun.
Yeah.
So the relationship has become very tumultuous over the last few years, especially when I've tried to get her medical help and she hasn't wanted it, and I've called the police on her, and various other things that have happened. So we're not really friends, but I know she's still alive, and I know she's still well, because she makes little sermon videos on Facebook, telling people about Lord Rael, the end of the world, the spaceships, and kind of relating it to what's actually going on in the world right now.
And when is the end of the world? What's the date?
Well, it's one of those things that keeps being pushed back a little bit.
It's not ready. It's not ready yet.
You're always in a state of preparedness. You're in this moment where you think actually the world will end, and then it doesn't end, but it just gets pushed back a couple of months.
And so you've taken this thing that is obviously quite traumatic for you,
exactly,
and turned it into Tim Tation.
Tim Tation.
Wow.
The comedy experience that is drag. Because I'd always wanted to do drag, and I grew up doing theatre stuff. I would escape being at home, this grim little northern place where there was just really very limited opportunity, and we grew up quite poor, and there was a local youth theatre that I went to, so I always really enjoyed going to the youth theatre, and there were lots of people there who seemed very clever, and the world was a big opportunity. It made things bigger, so I always had that within me. But then just went down different routes as you grow up, and you get degrees and you have to do a bloody job and all that stuff. So at the start of the year, I did a course on drag called The Art of Drag at the RVT.
Oh, RVT, yeah.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, that's hosted by...
Michael Twaits.
Yeah.
The fabulous Michael Twaits, love him. And basically Tim was born out of doing that course. And I was talking to one of my friends back doing the course, and we were talking about where to place this character of Tim Tation and where I was going to go, and then actually it just made so much sense to link it into something that I kind of already knew a lot about, but also give me some power and some control in making this situation that I'd battled with for like 5 years into something kind of fun, and something that it kind of altered my perspective on it. So that's where Tim came from.
Wow.
I didn't expect that. We joke about an accidental cult all the time. I never actually think of people joining one. That's
does happen.
Yeah, incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
No, you're quite welcome.
Okay, so I think we're going to put a picture of Tim on the screen,
I think
so that people can see the contrast.
Because this is my mediocre look right now. I'm going
No,
to the
that's
hairdresser next week, and this bit is all faded completely. This is mediocre
Don't even
hair.
talk about the hair.
But yeah.
Great. So where can we find all your stuff online?
Have a look out for Tim. It's Tim Tation Drag on Instagram, and I'm always literally posting on there whenever I've got something coming up. Do a lot of engagement with the Instagram stories, so feel free, if you spot on the story and you want to give me your lustful confession, please let me have it.
I mean, we did when we were at a gig.
We did.
We won't talk about that after. Right, thank you so much for coming. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. You can see me on Instagram at Mr. David Ian, or you can check out my website, davidian.co.uk.
And you can find me on Instagram at KTS Dale.
And we'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Mediocre Gay, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It helps other people find the show.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Mediocre Gay Pod, or share your mediocre secrets with us on mediocregaypod@gmail.com.